Hello and welcome to the SUTV post-game show. It finished at Bramall Lane, Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. I don't think we can emphasise how disappointing that is, given the way Sheffield United come into this game off the back of two good performances. Carl, it all felt a little bit deflating at the end, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it did from the start. It was, it just wasn't. It didn't play out to the script, did it? We were hoping that the fans would be engaged and there'd be intensity and just a Bramall Lane experience and atmosphere, and it just didn't get going. But it happens. This is football, and now the next 48 hours is crucial. That the boys, we don't revel too much when we win, but you can't get too deflated when we lose. That was a bad performance and it was a bad loss. It's gone now. You can't dwell on it. You can just start on Monday morning and work your socks off because we've got a huge game against Burnley. But there were positives to draw on. I know it sounds strange and it was, a hard match to swallow, but there are a few positives.
And right at the start of the season, I remember you saying to me that over the course of a Premier League season, there are going to be highs, there are going to be disappointments as well, because this is a Sheffield United squad that's finding its way. And on the back of the win over Wolves, the draw at Brighton, was this one of the ebbs and flows, if you like, of the season that we witnessed today?
Yeah, well, it definitely was. But what we've got to draw on is find out what parts make us good. There were bits against Wolves where I thought we were unplayable. We got into the game second half, and you've got to take the bits where you're good and understand and then employ them in the other matches. That's for me the key to this season. You're not going to steamroll teams. You're not going to be on the front foot but you've got to work out what makes you good and try and play to those. And a lot of our problem is obviously injuries, but still that happens to every team. So if you've got injuries, play to your strengths and try and make it hard for the opposition, especially coming here. This is Bramall Lane. Bournemouth have, they actually dominated us from the start, and that's not right. And you've got to address that. It's happened. Now address it. You shouldn't be dominated at Bramall Lane like that.
And let's be honest, there's precious little time to dwell on this result because we flip the page onto December next week. There are 7 Premier League games to be played in December. It is a pivotal month in the season.
Yeah, I think there was a few key things second half. McBurney is just huge for us. He rarely lets you down. He scored a good goal, and then there's a bit of more oomph about the place. The ball's knocked into him and there's belief that he'll keep it. For me, Willisula coming on, he's going to be key. This boy is our future. He was so positive. He got, he went through second half and he didn't get a shot off, but his intent, these fans are with the players. They're desperate for him to do well. You don't have to go past 10 players with silky skills to get these fans on side. Just be positive. And Asula did it when he came on. McBurney did it. Now, you've got to understand, that's a positive for us. So let's focus on, these two strikers and Archer. Our team needs to attack. You can't be passive because that's not our strength.
You've been a player for this club. After a defeat like this, what do you think the mood will be like in that dressing room?
They'll be hurting. They'll be absolutely stinging because you don't get to this level with a loser's mentality, and they'll be hurting. They'll be hurting at the performance because they want to do the best. Any one fan shouldn't think these boys have gone out there not wanting to perform. It didn't work, but not for the will of trying. And now we've got to find out what makes us a good team, because at the moment, this team can compete in this division and these players can really still stay up and they can compete. We've got to work out what makes us a really good team, because there's been moments this season, even against Tottenham and against the Man Cities, where we've been hard to play against. What made it happen? Let's find that.
And I suppose that's the test of character for now for these players with such a hectic fixture list around the corner, to pick themselves up, dust themselves down after this defeat this afternoon. Well, Luke, thanks for coming out here and joining us. A tough day at the office. What's been the mood like after that game?
Yeah, I think as expected, it's probably a quiet change of room. But for us, we weren't at it at all today. We knew that straight from the game. It's very disappointing, but next week's a big game. They're down there with us, so we've got to move on now and get that to the back of our minds.
You can sense the disappointment coming for you. Is that magnified because of the two performances that you had as a team going into the international break?
Yeah, definitely. We'd had 2 very positive performances and we felt good going into the game. We've had a good training week and it was about going out there and putting a performance on, and we didn't quite do that today.
And as you pointed out, there isn't really much time to dwell on it because we turn the page onto December next week. 7 games come up in the Premier League in December. They come thick and fast.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many games to play still, so we can get ourselves back into it. That's what I mean. Like, not dwelling on it now is really important, and we can get back together as a group and regroup and then go again.
You try and look for positives. I guess a couple of the lads, Anel, Ollie coming back from injury, Ollie's goal at the end there will be one of those things you concentrate on next week.
Yeah, it's about getting confidence in the team as well. We've had that over the past 2 weeks, and then having more players come back in from injuries are definitely a positive with how many injuries we've had recently. So hopefully we can get as many lads fit as possible for next week and put performance on and get 3 points.
And I'll bring you in here, Carl, as well as a former player. There's some defeats that are tougher to take than others, and I guess it's about trying to manage yourself as well to recover for the next game.
Yeah, I think everyone was really expectant. They were hoping that we'd start on the front foot and we'd get at them, and it just didn't click today. But for you in the next 44, 48 hours, it's horrible. I remember when I lost a lot, it was just want to get in on Monday and start training again.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing worse than losing a game. So it's obviously not going to be a good night tonight, but like I said, about regrouping and going again, that's the most important thing in football for me, to get that confidence back in myself for next week and put performance in.
And as you've already pointed out, Burnley at Turf Moor next week, another big game, especially in the context of the table as well. It's time to dust yourselves down and concentrate on the next job at hand.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big game for us again. We knew these 2 games were big games. Obviously, it's not gone our way today, but we've got to make sure we get it right next week.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us, Luke.
Cheers, thank you.
So that's some reaction from inside the camp. Carl, we've already touched upon the disappointment, but you've got to take positives from this. You spoke about Ollie McBurney, the fact that he did get 45 minutes under his legs today. He scored that goal at the end. Anel got some time on the pitch. We saw some more time for Ben Osborne as well. Those are going to be the types of things that need to be emphasised now ahead of what is a busy month in December.
Yeah, it's a huge month, and as we said, everyone was disappointed with this. It's gone now. We've got to focus on how we can get a result and get points at Burnley. And, you know, I think the players are there at the manager's disposal for us to actually be positive and go and try and, you know, get 3 points at Turf Moor.
And what about Burnley as well? Because there were 2 exciting games in the Championship last season. A lot of turnover in player personnel. Obviously, Sander Berger was with the Blades last year. He's now going to be playing against us next week. But they are not in a good place right now. So it is about who starts first, who starts fastest next week, and about making a statement, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, I think Company wasn't happy with last season in the match when we played them. We battered them here, but then at Turf Moor, up until we had the sending off, we were all over them. And his press conference after the game, he was downbeat, he just beat us. But his mentality is he knew the better team when it was 11v11 was us. And I think we could have got something from that game. But the boys, even when they had 10 men, when we had 10 men, we've gone for it because we were better than them. So I think there's got to be a lot of confidence going into this game because we are a good team. You know, they've escaped all the criticism that we have, but this is our chance for our players to get out there, put today out of mind. It's gone now. Let's get back to the good bits that we've had this season and go forward. You've got McBurney come back. Hopefully he'll be fit enough to start. He adds another dimension to Archer. He adds another dimension to the team.
And he gives a physical approach up front as well, doesn't he?
And on set pieces, defending set pieces, McBurney's one of our best headers. You know, I think it will give the whole team a boost for him being in the mix. But then also you've now got the Asulas who are coming on. He looked so positive when he came on. You know, we're losing at home. It's easy for him to get the ball and cut back and dump and try and keep possession. No, he had one thing on his mind: be positive, and he raised the crowd. You know, I'm now thinking towards next week. Today's gone, and the points are there.
Absolutely. Well, Carlos Saab, as always, thanks very much for your time. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be at Bramall Lane today. A 3-1 defeat for the Blades against Bournemouth, but there's no time to dwell on it because December's round the corner and Burnley are up next.